Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another LeadSquared webinar. This session is focused on those in the insurance space, but of course, our webinars have always been free, so anyone and everyone is most welcome. But in this particular session, we are setting up insurance teams to overachieve in 2023. So there's a lot to learn in this session, and I have with me Chantel, who leads the Africa sales. So Chantel, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell me something that most people wouldn't know, and of course, your experience in this area.
Thanks, Shabani. So I've been with LeadSquared for around 3.5 years now. I come out of the financial services space until, when I still was in corporate. And I absolutely love spending time, with our customers and thought leaders in the financial services space. I think many people that are on the call today that have worked with me know that sales enablement is certainly something that I'm extremely passionate about. And so I'm hoping today, I get to share some ideas that you guys can take into 2023.
Absolutely. So, speaking of ideas, I can tell you these are some of the points or some of the areas we will sort of dabble on. We will of course talk about the trends that's driving policy sales in 2023. Some of the reasons why top insurance reps are missing their targets, perhaps, and how automated interventions can enhance productivity. So, with that, I will hand it over to Chantel. Just a quick note to everyone who's joined us. We want this to be an interactive session, so feel free to share any comments, questions that you have, or if you just want to say hello, we're happy to have you here, and just feel free to share anything that you want us to know. Okay, over to you, Chantel.
Thank you, Shabani.
Yeah, and I will drop off while you bring up your presentation. There you go.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much to our awesome audience that's made the time to join us today. And like Shabani kind of contextualized for us, we're going to be focusing on, setting up insurance sales teams to overachieve in 2023. And yes, I'm, joining you or talking to you from Johannesburg in South Africa today. And really blessed that we get to work and cover the African continent. But we do have many guests that are joining us from outside of Africa. So welcome to everybody. And I'm sure there'll be something that you can all take away from today's session. So just to set some context here, in terms of the state of the African insurance market, is that the African insurance market has been growing at a CAGR of 7.6% and is expected to reach $115 billion by 2027. And that being said, there's been a lot of interesting developments that have happened over the last 2 years. And we've seen a number of insurance firms consolidate their operations, enter into JVs, rebrand, tap into technology to widen their presence and their scope of their product offering. And, in a race to tap into this nascent but growing market, insurance leaders are focusing on modernizing their army of sales agents and deploying at the same time digital measures to increase market penetration. And I think one thing that has remained constant and will remain constant, especially in the insurance space, is that people are the lifeblood of your organization. And so today, as Shabani said, we are going to spend time discussing, trends that, we see driving policy sales in 2023, reasons why insurance sales agents, don't hit their targets. And then really excitingly, how, automated interventions can enhance agent productivity. So that being said, if we look at some of the trends that, will be driving policy sales in the insurance industry heading into 2023, I mentioned, there's been lots of changes over the last 2 years, but kudos to you guys in the insurance industry, but the insurance industry has demonstrated remarkable resilience, especially in its response to the pandemic. And while systems and capabilities were improved, insurers need to be prepared for the road ahead. And looking ahead, especially here in Africa, ahead of us, we do see multiple hurdles like rising inflation, rising interest rates, looming threats of recession, geopolitical upheaval, and a lot more competition that's coming in from insurtechs and non-insurance entities. Now, something else just to mention is another important aspect to look at is that, like, one of the most recent JVs, which was the Sanlam Alliance type, that combined, the German giant that's present in 170 countries with, one of the largest insurance companies in Africa. Now, combining their African operations, they've formed one of the largest non-banking financial services entities. Now, if you just consider this JV as an example, we're seeing a lot more insurers putting focus on proactively anticipating, fulfilling not only the policyholder expectations, but also their distributor expectations to help set them apart in a very competitive market. And very importantly, with this kind of JV comes a much bigger sales army that you need to get ready to go out into the market and generate new business. So taking into account these major trends we see, the goal for 2023 should be to fully realize the benefits of technology infrastructure investments to keep insurers agile, innovative, and customer-centric. And from what I see working in the industry is that I still see many insurers that treat data as an infrastructure expense to be managed rather than a strategic asset that can help them learn more about their customer needs and preferences in terms of driving products and services to meet those needs. So we are expecting, and we are seeing this happening, that insurers are upgrading to a more, what I would say, holistic data management approach that empowers teams to collaborate on data across functions and business lines that ultimately help insurers capitalize on their data and analytics initiatives in order to accelerate that innovation, bolster their competitive edge, differentiation, and then set their sales teams up for success. And what's exciting is that we are also seeing many CIOs and CTOs, being really, really involved in business and adopting no-code and low-code platforms like LeadSquared, which essentially is helping them shorten those go-to-market timelines, stay agile, and reduce risks and costs at the same time. So some exciting trends on the horizon, and then some hurdles, to just take into consideration. So if we look at some of the factors that bring down sales productivity, I think one of the biggest reasons why, from what we see happening on the ground, is that businesses do not have scalable, repeatable sales processes for follow-up management. And sales agents don't have access to the information they need on hand to get to a closure on a first contact basis. So there's lots of missed opportunities happening because of this misalignment. And when it comes to training, just as an example, on the product side, insurance companies do not lack resources when it comes to training. If anything, I think the training material that we've come across is exceptional. But where the gap where the gap exists is that sales agents, there isn't that integration of the training into the daily activities that take place, and more importantly, the CRM system that a sales agent is given doesn't support what's in the training material, and in most cases, the sales motion or the sales process is not set up in the CRM in a way that would enable a sales agent to be a productive agent. And so what ends up happening, and for those of you who are in the audience today that have been, in sales on the ground, you will know this very well. Sales agents end up spending hours doing manual inquiry management because there's no integration of the core communication channels that sales agents use, like WhatsApp, phone, email, SMS. And, I'm talking about one problem right now, but that problem, it has a massive impact on the business as a whole. Because how do you become customer-centric or data-driven when you are placing reliance on data that is not complete and where the entire customer engagement element is missing? So something quite important to think about. And then this leads into another problem. So we talk about, lack of visibility of incoming inquiries. For those of you that are in the insurance industry today, and especially on the marketing side, those of you managing budgets, you will know that to generate a lead in the insurance industry is really, really expensive. And many sales agents don't have visibility of these incoming leads in real time because they typically are received by marketing first. Now, there have been countless studies done around the impact of time to respond to an inbound lead. In a recent sales optimization study that I read, using data from around 3.5 million leads, it showed that making your first call to an inbound prospect within a minute, all right, of lead generation increases your likelihood of converting by up to 400%, right? Now, the odds of converting drop every minute after that. So even if you contact a lead within the first 5 minutes, your odds are 10 times greater, right, than in minutes 5 to 10. So take a moment just to have a look at this. And one of the pieces of advice I'd give you is go and have a look at how long. Test your own process out and have a look at how long it takes you to convert. Now, most businesses, have budgets and tight controls around marketing budgets, sales budgets overall. But if that is the case, all right, then lead management is something that insurance leaders need to be bold about and address, because according to Harvard Business Review, the average response time is 42 hours. Okay, so I'll just say that again for you. The average response time to inbound leads is 42 hours. And then alarmingly, 23% of leads never get contacted at all. So when you take your cost to generate a lead and multiply this by your average premium that you would typically get on a sale, the revenue you are losing is mind-blowing. So working with customers in the insurance industry, across Africa, who have started embarking on an ERP implementation with some kind of CRM capability. In some cases, these implementations have started 3 to 5 years ago. We have implemented LeadSquared to solve the immediate problem of lead management. I mentioned to you that I spent my corporate career in banking. I left banking in 2009, and the CRM implementation is still ongoing. So this is why I say insurance leaders, okay, in the sales space need to be brave and start proactively making micro improvements in 2023. This is critical because you will also know that if you're generating, let's say, 1,000 leads today, right? Unfortunately, around 76% of these leads will not convert today. So we know that. But many insurance companies have no solution to implement like a prospect nurturing journey of sorts to stay top of mind for those consumers who are not ready to buy right now. But those insurance companies that do have a solution in place to nurture those not ready to buy prospects today continue to see conversions coming through quarter after quarter from the not ready to buys because they're able to nurture these prospects. And without sales intelligence, sales agents are not going to be able to do a good job when it comes to upselling and cross-selling because there's too much activity happening outside the CRM. So even if you do try and automate your process without considering all of these aspects, you're going to be automating a bad process that's not going to yield any results. To put it into perspective for you, I have all my policies and every kind of cover you can possibly imagine with one major insurer, right? And I get called, and I've been with the same insurer, by the way, since 2010, but I get called at least 2 to 3 times a month by somebody, a sales agent or a broker representing the same brand, asking if they could offer me a quote. Now, the reason why this happens is because they haven't been able to extend their CRM into their broker ecosystem. And so what ends up happening is when you don't have connected teams is that you just create frustration for existing customers and or new prospects. So the good news is that these problems are all really easy to solve. So don't get disheartened. We're going to move on to how you can set your teams up for success. Now, I want to take this home a little and make it as real as possible because, you know, sometimes we attend webinars and talks and they're just so high level, we actually don't know what to do with the information when we get back, you know, to our real worlds. So let's start here. When you want to set your teams up for success, all right, if we're going to look at the steps in a step-by-step format, the first step is to really understand who are your sales teams. So for those of you that are on the in our audience today, this is just an example. So if you have a look on my example, I'm saying that in my teams, I've got a marketing team, a call center team, a verifications team, a retentions team. But you may have a field sales team, agency, bank assurance. Really, it doesn't matter. But the key point here is that you need to understand who your sales teams are, all right? And very importantly, if you want to drive sales efficiency in your organization, you need to make sure that these teams are all connected because you would have experienced this before, but a consumer, so a prospect or a customer or, you know, a consumer in general, very seldom has just one single entry or one single touch point with your organization. And so by aligning and connecting your teams, you ensure, you know, a good experience no matter where the customer is entering into the organization. Now, when I talk about understanding your teams, this is really important because if we take a call center team as an example, a call center team is going to need the capability to place a phone call out of their CRM, right? That's what they're doing in a call center, spending most of their time on the phone. Whereas a field sales agent or a direct selling agent that you send out into the market may need an easy to use mobile app that probably would need some kind of offline capability to help them do sales, maybe when they're working in an area that doesn't have the best connectivity. So really important to understand the elements that impact or how each sales team does what they do. So that's step one. When it comes to step two, you need to understand, and obviously you would understand the products, but behind each product, there's a way that this product is sold. So each product would have its own sales process. So whether you are selling just general insurance, life insurance, and motor insurance, if you think about your paper-based application form, you ask different sets of information. Some products need to be, there's underwriting that comes into place, medicals. And so the process is vital that is mapped out, all right, at a product level. Then the next step is that when you look at the sales process for each of these products, when we can touch on some of these processes, like when you sell a policy for the first time, what is the process that you follow when you want to do a renewal? What verifications are involved in selling this product? And all of these things come together and need to be connected. All right. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in a moment. But the next step before we move on is, and this is something that will always be this, it is like this, and it will always be like this in sales, is that in order for a sales agent to close a sale, there's a number of activities and tasks that need to be completed either by the consumer, by your sales agent, and even other members in your team, like underwriting or your billings team, etc. These are people that support your sales agents in terms of sales fulfillment and getting that lead to a closure. So the next step is then understanding, right, well, what are those activities that your sales teams are doing to get a sale to a state of closure? And that will look different. So the questions, or questions you could ask yourself here, or examples are there phone calls that need to happen? Do your agents ever have to help customers complete applications? Do your customers need to complete applications themselves? Are there callbacks that need to happen during this process? What about document collection? And, if there are option changes, so if your customer wants to change their dependents or change, the date of their debit order, as an example, how do these tasks and activities get completed throughout your process? Now, you also need to consider at this point how these activities and tasks are being actually completed. So this is where your communication channels come into play. So things like, are they done via telephone? Are you using SMS, WhatsApp, email, live chat, self-service portal, perhaps your mobile application? So these are all the things that you need to consider when building or putting down a workflow. So most insurance companies that we deal with, when we initially speak with them, think they're doing a great job at automation, but also don't realize the power and the real true extent to which automation can contribute, especially to the insurance industry. So let me show you an example of what an automated, intelligent workflow would look like if you were using automation. Okay, now I'm going to need you just to imagine this example or the scenario with me, but let's assume that you are generating leads using your website, social media, so Facebook, Instagram, paid ads, so Google, LinkedIn, and email, just to name a few, and these you would probably refer to as your lead sources, where your leads come in. Now, leads are coming in 24 hours a day, right? And we've spoken about response times to leads already. Now, your marketing department is working really hard and putting in a lot of effort to create content that prospects would respond to. So let's assume marketing's done a great job, your content is out there, and a prospect now wants to complete an application with you. So now what happens is, in this example, the moment a lead is captured into your CRM, essentially the consumer would be given the option to immediately start their application. All right. And in this example, it would be done on a self-service portal. This keeps you open for business 24 hours a day. Okay. So now there's two things that could happen. The first one is that if the application, let's say, was not completed, and this happens in real life. So somebody comes on to your application, they start completing it, and then they drop off because perhaps they don't have the supporting documents handy with them that you need along with your application form, or perhaps they just get distracted and close their browser. Now, if this were to happen, all right, using automation, this prospect would automatically be served an email or an SMS, depending on the channels that you use in your business, to remind them to come back and complete their application. And when they do that, they will be able to pick up where they left off. Now, imagine your call center agents arriving back for work at 8 a.m. the next morning, and automatically any application that has not reached completion stage, a task is automatically put into the relevant agent's queue for a call to be initiated to determine if that prospect needs assistance in completing the application. And this is vital because in the insurance space, in many instances, a consumer just wants to ask some questions. Okay, because when we're using insurance jargon, we understand that consumers don't necessarily always understand the terminology used. Now, the other thing that could happen is that the consumer does complete your application form and upload all the supporting documents you need. Now, because we've integrated your CRM with your rules engine, you're able to instantaneously offer that consumer an offer. And if they accept your offer, automatically an offer letter is generated and delivered, via email or the communication channel that you're using to the consumer. And now just to, show you how other teams that are not necessarily sales agents come into play, is that, let's say, as an example, the particular product that you are selling requires some kind of verification that is done on a face-to-face basis. You can see in this example, if we move over to the end, that in this case, we've automatically created a task that is put in the field verification team's queue to essentially go and do the verification with the consumer. So really, really different when it comes to the manual processes that we used to. So I hope this example is giving you a good idea of how automation really can drive efficiency in the insurance business. And this is a super simple example of a workflow that I'm showing you. Okay. Now, this diagram may look a little bit overwhelming, but it's actually pretty simple. Really, the message here is that it's always about adopting technology that supports your sales efficiency. Most businesses have got a lot of tech already, right? So it's not about just getting more tech. We want tech that supports sales efficiency in 2023. And so essentially, if we have a look at what this diagram is telling us, and I've covered this in the previous comments, but what you want to achieve is to make sure that you've got zero lead leakage. right? So by connecting all your possible lead sources, right, along with a self-service portal, that ensures that all your leads manually, seamlessly flow. So there's no manual lead handling here, into a front office, easy to use operational CRM, all right, that can be distributed throughout your teams that touch customers like contact center, branches, field sales, etc. This is what we do and how we fit in to a tech stack. Now, the most important thing to remember here is that in the insurance industry, you have got policy management systems, you've got data warehouses, there's data modeling happening, by your data scientists. So you've got a number of core backend systems. And so what we do is, using integrations, is make sure that we open up that flow of two important things: the operational data and your customer intelligence data. And these two things is what enables your sales agents to help a customer close a sale faster than working without information. And remember, I mentioned to you earlier around the fact that a large portion of inbound leads today don't automatically just close on first contact. You want to be able to immediately put these prospects into your nurturing journeys, and that's why having a end-to-end sales and marketing execution platform will keep warming and nurturing these prospects. So when a prospect is ready to be passed back to a sales agent, you keep presenting your sales agents with sales-ready opportunities. So automation is not about no people. It's about bringing your people in where they will make the best impact and the most impact for the consumer and for your business. Right. So I hope that explains, why it's important to adopt technology that really supports sales efficiencies. So I want to just give you a few examples of how easy it is to make micro improvements. All right. So when I talk about micro improvements, don't get me wrong or misled by the word micro. These micro improvements can deliver exceptional results for you. So the first one is that if you want to ensure that you get rid of all possible lead leakage, using our already built connectors, we call it connectors, right, gives you the ability to integrate and connect all your lead sources. Now, let me just give you a practical example of what I'm talking about. Most insurance leaders, all right, would not know with 100% confidence that every single inbound lead that comes into a sales agent actually ends up being captured into your CRM. So you've got stuff falling through the cracks all the time, right? So by integrating these key communication channels, when somebody calls into your organization for the first time, imagine a lead automatically being captured. Nobody manually has to do it, right? And number two, imagine if it is an existing customer that calls your organization, that this new phone call activity and recording automatically gets posted against their lead record. So that is customer engagement information that you want to stay on top of and ensure zero lead leakage. Now, what's exciting here is when we're implementing just this micro improvement without even increasing the volume of leads that you generate, you can expect an increase of lead to sale conversion simply because you have no more lead leakage. And to extend onto this point, on the right-hand side of the slide, not every consumer wants to go through a call center experience to buy your products. So what we do is extend a self-service platform that is already part of your LeadSquared CRM in this example. And it is a self-paced application form that is supported by a drag and drop tool. So you as business can identify bottlenecks, amend the changes in your application forms, and when you want to go to market with a new product, it's a matter of a few days to set up your new application process and sales process rather than months. So this has been a game changer for our insurance clients. And as an added bonus, when you have a self-service channel, you may refer to it as a digital sales channel, you automatically get an application a drop-off management tool, because any drop-off that happens is automatically passed into the right sales agent's queue to assist the customer with one objective, is getting that application to closure. Right, so really, really exciting, and it makes exponential improvements. Another example here is that you already know this, but not every lead that comes into your organization is going to be ready to buy today. And not every lead will have the same intent or urgency to take up your product. So this is why implementing lead scoring or using a feature like lead scoring brings to the surface the ready to buy opportunities. Imagine passing ready to buy opportunities to your sales agents and keeping them selling. All right. And imagine being able to pass leads based on their score and their product interest and location, whatever your lead distribution logic may be, automatically through to the right teams, whether it needs to be dealt with by a call center, a field sales agent. And you would get to this point when you understand the detail in how your products are sold by which team. Okay, so really, really valuable tool here. And then very importantly, what about your teams? And in Africa, we see this very big reliance on mobile sales agents or field sales reps or direct selling reps. It really depends what you call them. But essentially, these are guys that are out in the field that are selling your products on your behalf. Now, there's a couple of things that the mobile application caters for, but one of the things that it does is basically enable your teams to work in an offline mode where they don't have good connectivity. But business doesn't stop. Nobody has to come back to the office and manually update things on a system when they've got connectivity. This is business on the go. And one of the things that we've seen mobility and the mobile app add value to is getting rid of fraudulent sales. When the sales guys are under pressure to make their numbers and they're just capturing their friends and family's details into a lead form, we offer all the nuts and bolts that go with it to eradicate fraudulent applications or fraudulent leads coming into your business, which naturally inflate your pipeline and give you the wrong impression of where your team is. The next thing is that I can say this being a salesperson myself, is that we don't want to work as salespeople in an environment where there's too much guesswork, or I need to do a 6-month training course to just understand how to use a CRM. So personalized sales views for every team based on what their function is a must when it comes to a new age sales execution CRM. This means that you get rid of all the clutter. There's no guesswork and very little training that has to be done, because it's so intuitive. It allows me just to get the task done and move on to the next activity that's going to get me closer to achieving my sales results. So all about making sure that you've got the right sales view for each person in the team. And then communicating with your teams and customers is vital. And you want to be able to have a tool that enables you to, we call them nudges, but basically it's sending alerts, all right, and communication in real time. So if I'm a field sales agent, in real time, you can alert me that a new lead has been assigned to me. Perhaps, a call has come through into the call center and you can see that I'm closest to a customer that needs documents collected. This is what we mean by real-time communication based on location and enabling the sales teams to do things a lot faster than what they were able to do before. And similarly, when it comes to communicating with your customers, if you're wanting to present them with special offers, as an example, across specific sets of your customer segments, you can do this using intelligent automations, and then again bring the opportunity back to a sales agent when they are required. Okay, so that is just an example of what the micro improvements we are assisting customers with when it comes to communications. Very important, very importantly, excuse me, I know that this sounds simple, yet so many sales leaders that we work with today just don't have any visibility when it comes to real-time reporting. They don't know their sales numbers. You kind of got to wait until a week after the month to see, what happened in the month. Did we make it? Did we not? And it doesn't really enable anybody. So having real-time reporting is available within our platform, but obviously very customizable in terms of how you need to interpret your data. And I think on this point, going into 2023, remember that working on culture and the way technology is used in your organization is going to be more and more important. So as I mentioned, as a sales professional myself, and also having managed sales teams, you want to focus on creating a winning environment. And as a sales professional, we want tech that makes our lives easier so we can sell more. We don't want CRMs that give us homework to do. So as insurance leaders, you can make sales fun again, all right? Take away the friction and all the tasks that take away sales productivity time, and replace that with automation. So one way to keep your teams motivated, no matter where they are, and to drive the right behavior so you don't have to become another stat of poor CRM adoption, is to make sure that you are using a CRM, all right, a new age sales execution CRM that has got a sales performance management suite built into it. We call ours ACE, by the way. And sales, why? Because salespeople want transparency when it comes to their performance against their mandated targets. They want to know. I mean, we're all under pressure against, what is our target? How close are we? And they want to see. We want to see what our commission pipeline looks like and what has been paid and what's sitting in my pool to be paid. We want to see how close we are, how far away we are from achieving, our variable incentive components. And we also want to see, how well the rest of our team is doing. So I don't know about you guys that are sales managers on the call, but I remember spending hours and hours trying to collate sales reporting, calling agents around the country to try and get their numbers, all right, just to create a sales report, which I still wasn't confident in. There's no need to do that anymore because you now have your sales teams, your processes, your products, your communication, your customer engagement, all happening in one place in real time. So no back and forth. And as a sales leader in insurance, you now have your numbers available to you at every time but so do your sales agents. And that's what they want to see. So these micro improvements will transform the way that you do sales, and you can expect to achieve exponential results in a very short space of time. So from my side, I want to just leave some time for questions from any of you, but I really hope that keeping things practical today has given you some ideas that you could put in place, heading into 2023. So thank you for listening.
Much, Chantel. That was so insightful. I particularly love the line that said, "We don't want CRMs that give us homework to do." I'm going to use it in one of my articles now, and I'll quote you. Yeah. So yes, the floor is open to any questions that might be coming in from the audience. In the meantime, I will go ahead and ask my first question. So a lot of times, Chantel, people are reluctant to implement a CRM or get a CRM on board. In your experience, how long would it typically take a customer to really get started with a CRM solution? How soon can you just get the ball rolling?
Shabani, it's such a good question and a great point that you make. When you set up a CRM, it's not about how quick you can get a username and a password, right? I'll just take it back to, one of the things that we work really hard on in terms of our clients in Africa. So number one, like I said, before we even hit the tech, all right, it's about understanding the sales team, the processes. So that workflow that I showed you, that's the starting point. We design that, on behalf of somebody who wants to use a CRM. And we will test that logic with you. We also have vertical experts. So we understand the space. A lot of us have worked in this industry. So we will also push the boundaries because you may not know the true extent. Okay. Now, once you've got that in place and you understand that this is your workflow, to configure something like that, I mean, we've done some really complex setups in 2022. And I think our most complicated one has taken us, and I talk complicated, this was creating a 360-degree view for a major insurance company. It took us 4 months. So it's not long at all. But then on the implementing something like a micro improvement, from a lead management perspective, I mean, here we're talking 14, 15 days. So it really depends, but we do it. It has to be done properly. When you switch that thing on and log on with your username and password, you need to get results. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Yes, I still don't see more questions. So again, it's me time. I'm gonna ask one more question from my side. So as a sales professional, and we are coming towards the end of the year, do you follow any specific policies of your own, in the sense any sales related tips that you might have, or do you have like a mantra, or do you have a method that really works for you and you would like to share maybe with folks who've joined us today?
Yes, I actually love that question. So, Shabani, as a salesperson, especially in a competitive world, right? Everybody's fighting for a slice of something. Yeah. And I think the number one for me is that I make sure that I'm always on and always available and I'm easily accessible. All right. So it doesn't matter if somebody's implementing a competitor CRM and wants to have a discussion with me to make sure they're on they're on the right path. I think it's really about giving and adding value and seeing where you can help as a starting point. So keep the channels open, be ready to help. And, over this period, before we blink an eye, we'll be in 2023. But a lot of people have had, a tough year, just coming off the 2 years before that. And I think people really just want some time out, during this time of the year. But I have to just say that over December, the festive period, I have my best sales conversations because people are relaxed and open. They've thought about what didn't go well, this past year, and they've done a little bit of reflection, and they're looking at what they can do next year, and so conversations just flow. And that's, I think, the key point that I would say is that have as many conversations as you can with the intention of where can you help, and that's what I apply.
That's wonderful, Gail. Thank you. I am going to also do some free promotion for our upcoming session this Friday. So everyone who's joined in, please do come back here on Friday as well. We are talking about debt collection then. And I know, of course, the holiday season is just around the corner, so everyone's on holiday mode. So anyone who may not be joining us on Friday, so happy holidays beforehand.
And Shabani, just on that, to add to your point, our speaker at the collections event on Friday is very experienced in collections, but specifically in the insurance space. And as we know, if people don't pay their premiums, yes, we don't give them insurance cover, but it would be ideal if we can collect premiums. So you probably don't want to miss out on that chat on Friday.
Absolutely. Don't miss out, just as Chantal said. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I think we can call it a day. Thanks again to everyone who's joined in. I know a lot of you would be looking forward to the recording and consuming the data that Chantal just shared. So we will be sharing the presentation that was put together. And let's keep in touch. Let's say hi over email. Okay. Take care. Thank you so much, Chantal.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.